Bible and the Quran open before me, asking God to show me his comfort. And I start going through the Quran, and I look, and I realize for the first time in my life, because up until this point I had used the Quran as a book of laws and rules to follow, now I'm looking to it for comfort, and there's nothing in this book to comfort the hurting man. There's nothing. And so I put it away. I said, God, I don't even know where to start with the Bible. I'll just start with the New Testament. Opened it up to Matthew chapter 1, saw a bunch of genealogies, so I skipped them. And I kept reading, and it didn't take me long to get to Matthew chapter 5. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. You may have heard this before. You may have read the Beatitudes before, so it might be old news to you. But to someone who has thought their whole life, hey, I have to perform in order for God to accept me. I have to jump through these hoops. I have to pray 5 times a day. I have to read the Quran regularly. I have to fast during Ramadan. I have to do all this in order for God to love me. When you read this message and it says, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted, that blows your mind. Why would God comfort me for mourning? And I start reading it, and blessed are those who thirst for righteousness. I thirst for righteousness. I know I'm not righteous. I keep sinning. Whenever the door is closed and no one's looking, I'm sinning. But blessed are those who thirst for righteousness. That's what the Bible says. What kind of God is this? And so my heart is just transformed when I start hearing this message, and I start going through and I start asking God questions. And my friend David had given me a study Bible, so I'm reading all the footnotes, I'm going through all the cross references, I'm following everything. And I'd ask question to God, I'd be like, God, how do I know you can even hear me? And I'd read the footnote and say, if you want to know God hears you, go to 1 John 5. Sweet. Boom, 1 John 5. And so that's kind of how it was going. It took me forever to get to Matthew chapter 10, but this is what it said in Matthew chapter 10. If you confess me before the people of this world, I will confess you before my Father in heaven. And if you deny me before the people of this world, I will deny you before my Father in heaven. Look, I had all the evidence I needed. Most people don't even have that because they haven't looked. And then I had all the spiritual guidance I needed. And most people don't have that because they haven't asked. But it wasn't enough unless I proclaimed Christ. And I remember thinking to God, God, this would mean I have to give up my life. I have to give up my parents. This is Matthew chapter 10, by the way, verse 32. I said, I have to give up my parents. And you know what the next verse said? He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. I said, God, I'm going to have to give up not just my parents, but also my life. You know what the next verse says? If you do not pick up your cross and follow me, you're not worthy of me. See, this is a message that demands our entire life. I accepted Christ.